This lighting is not doing my face any good, any justice. It's highlighting all the wrinkles. So, one thing I deal with, and I don't know if it's just because of my chronic conditions or if it's an autism thing. I feel like it's all of the above. But I go through these phases where I wake up at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning and I'm just up. I can't fall back to sleep. And it's a really weird time to be awake because you should be sleeping. You know, I mean, this is what I'm thinking in my brain. Some people are like, no, it doesn't matter. Actually, somebody told me one time that what they do is they go to sleep probably around 8 o'clock at night and then wake up around midnight. And then they'll stay up until 5 and do stuff around the house, read, clean, do whatever, and then go back to bed around 5-6 o'clock in the morning and then get up again around 9 to start like the regular day. See, for me, I couldn't do that. That's too chopped up, and that would make me feel so dysregulated. So I need to have like a full night's sleep and get up in the morning like normal, like 8 o'clock in the morning and be able to, get through the day. But I tell you what, being up this early right now during this phase, and these phases come all the time. I'll go through a good spurt, maybe a couple weeks of falling asleep at 8-9 o'clock and sleeping all the way through the night. And then all of a sudden, and nothing actually like triggers it. It's just the way I am. All of a sudden I will have phases like this where I get up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and I'm up for the day. And I'll tell you, it really, really dysregulates me. And one of the, I guess this video can be about this. I have been diagnosed with a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There's 13 types of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The most common type is the hypermobile, and that's what I have been diagnosed with, is the hypermobile. And it's not just about being flexible and bendy. Like my finger, I can bend it all the way back. My thumb can touch my... Oh, I can't think right now. My thumb can touch my wrist. So it's more than that, though, because your whole entire body is filled with connective tissue. And with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, your connective tissue normally should be like a strong piece of taffy because it's literally holding your body together. It's connective tissue. Like you've got your connective tissue, your muscle, your ligaments, your tendons, your bone. But the connective tissue is kind of like the glue that holds everything together and keeps your muscles from straining. It's like a safety net for your body. But instead of it being like a strong taffy, it's more like a silly string with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it was not that noticeable when I was a child. Weird things would happen when I was a kid, but nobody ever really knew what it was. I would wake up sometimes and my head would be stuck to my shoulder. And so my parents, my mom, she'd take me to the doctor and they would tell me, oh, she's got torticollis. And they'd put me in like a neck brace for, a week or two and it would go back to normal. But it hurt. I mean, just trying to move my head away from my shoulder, I felt like I was getting electrocuted. And it was just so painful. So it was very painful. And then I would just get like these really strange aches and pains like throughout my abdomen and my ribs. I went through this one period where I had this side pain and it would not go away, and nobody was listening to me. They thought I was just being, dramatic. But it did. It affected the way it affected me during the day. Like, I just felt miserable. And I remember there was a time where I was late for school and I was running down the steps, and at the very bottom of the stairs, I rolled my ankle. So I was very clumsy too. But I was also in cheerleading, and, I would do one-handed cartwheels, and, I was just a super active. I was in figure skating. One thing I remember too about figure skating is after figure skating practice, on the way home in the car, my feet were warming up under the heater where the heat blows, where you can do the option where the heat comes down on the floorboards and in the, regular. But so I'd have the heat on for the floorboards too. And I'd take my boots off and I'd have my feet with my socks, and I'd stick them right there where the heat's blowing out. And the pain, I can't even explain to you the pain that I would feel in my feet, and it would just radiate all the way up my legs, up to my hips. It was weird. I would cry. I would sit there on the way home, and there would be points where it would just be so painful and the ache would be so strong that I would wince. But it's really unfortunate that when I was younger, my parents always kind of viewed me as just being so dramatic, such the sensitive one. But what they didn't realize is I was really struggling. I was really, truly suffering. Like, it wasn't something to joke about. It wasn't something to laugh about. And looking back, I just really wish that somebody would have taken me seriously when I told them I was struggling. Because I have struggled my whole life. Physically, mentally, and being autistic, that too. And not knowing until my adult life about being on the spectrum, until somebody actually took the time to sit down with me and talk to me and notice that, I was neurodivergent. And so they took the time and actually had me evaluated. And some people say, well, why even bother getting a diagnosis? You've lived your whole life with, being this way. What difference does it make? It makes a whole world of difference. Because when you go through life and you feel so different and so out of touch with other people, and you just don't understand why you can't seem to fit in with people. You can't seem to understand why you struggle with things that others find just so simple that they don't even think about. You try to figure out, okay, why do I have to analyze every single step to the smallest, simplest task when other people can just do it without even thinking? When you finally understand why, and there's actually a reason for it, it's a relief. That's why it's worth knowing, even if you're an adult. That's why it's worth knowing whether it's worth getting the evaluation. It's worth getting the diagnosis. And it's not like there's a whole lot of help out there anymore once you're an adult. I mean, when you're a child, you get a lot of help because, for school, you can have special teachers, special curriculum. There's a lot more accommodations to make, their lives a lot easier and more manageable because of the accommodations. And I'm so grateful for these children who... My dog is freaking out. Hold on. Meatball, you all right? Maybe he was dreaming. Hold on. I checked on my dog and grabbed the last sip of my coffee in this mug. But yeah, it's definitely worth getting the diagnosis, even if you're already in your adulthood. Because trust me, after a while, it becomes, you get depressed. I mean, I've had depression since I was a child, but it is also very depressing to go through life feeling like such a struggle with everything and not knowing why. It causes depression, it causes anxiety, it makes you want to withdraw, it makes you not want to put yourself out there and make friends and be a part of the community because it's just so uncomfortable and awkward. But now that I know that I'm, on the spectrum, I can say, okay, so that makes a lot of sense. And then I know what type of therapy now I can receive. Like, I'm going to this lady, and I mean, I'm not going to say it's life-changing, but it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's not life-changing, but it is helpful. I see her twice a month, and I see her for an hour or about 50 minutes, and it's just a way for me to sit down with somebody and just vent, let her know what's been happening with me the last 2 weeks, and ask her questions as far as like, how do I handle this, or how should I, view that in a way where I'm not being so difficult, even to myself. Because one thing I do is I judge myself way too much. I am so hard on myself, and I've been this way my whole life. So one thing I am working on right now is giving myself some grace and learning how to not judge myself, and learning how to be kind and speaking to myself the way I would speak to a friend, or to my daughter, or to my sister, or, to anybody. I would not speak to others the way I speak to myself. And when I think about it that way, I'm like, okay, yeah, I got some work to do. So, yeah, chronic illness is not very fun, but listen, this life is not meant to be easy. Some people are blessed and they don't have any health conditions until they take their last breath. But other people, everybody has a different journey throughout this life. It's how you handle it, and it's how your attitude, it's your attitude. It has a lot to do with your attitude. Like, you could have the worst cards in life, but it's your attitude is what's going to determine what kind of life you're going to have. So, yeah, I'm really working on my attitude, and I'm working on trying to stay positive even when things look absolutely grim. I went to the hematologist yesterday because, as he said, I am bone dry in iron right now. So I am iron deficient anemic. But see, the thing is, my anemia, it keeps coming back. And I think I've had struggle with anemia for like my years, okay? But no doctor has ever really wanted to find the root cause. They would just say, oh, just pop some iron supplements and it'll bring it up. But finally, because I'm 47, I guess now, I'm getting up there, the doctor finally said, okay, we need to find out why you continue to get anemia. So I have to go to my GI doctor and see about getting a scope in my stomach to find out if there's any ulcers or anything going on. So I'm in the process of finding the root cause of the anemia. But in the meantime, I'm going to be getting iron infusions. And the reason I can't take oral supplements is because I have another condition called gastroparesis, which affects the digestive tract. It takes my body hours to digest anything that I eat. I was diagnosed because I was having a lot of stomach pain and vomiting in the middle of the night back in, I think this was starting in 2011, 2012. And I went to the doctor and they did some type of test where I had to eat these scrambled eggs, but they were radioactive. And so, they weren't bad, but they wanted me to like slam them down, and I'm taking my time eating them, and they're like, are you almost done? Are you almost done? I'm like, good Lord. So I ate them, and then I had to lay in a like an MRI machine, but it wasn't an MRI. It was like it was a tube. And I laid in there for about an hour and a half because they wanted to see how long it would take for my stomach to digest the eggs. I ended up falling asleep in there because I remember I was just beginning to get a cold, and I did not feel good at all. And so it was kind of nice where I just was able to sleep the whole test. But they diagnosed me that day with gastroparesis because not one single ounce of that scrambled egg treat that I ate digested in that entire hour and a half. So yeah, I've been dealing with that for years. So yeah, I got some things going on, but again, it's the way I handle my attitude towards it. And hopefully that will encourage somebody out there that is also struggling with anything physical, anything mental, anything, any type of struggle. You know, we all have them, and the Lord said that we're going to have trouble down here on earth. We're going to have trouble. It's inevitable. This world is broken. This world is ruled by Satan. Even though God is the ultimate one in control, Satan is being allowed to rule this earth until Jesus comes back. And so there is a battle going on constantly, 24/7. It never stops. And it's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years since the beginning of time. There is a battle going on between good and evil in the spiritual realm. I mean, if we could only see what goes on in the other realm, in the spiritual realm, if we could actually visibly see it, our minds would be blown. I mean, I can't see it, but I can sure feel it. A lot of the time I can feel it. Like, especially if I'm around certain people and I can feel it. It's, you know how like dogs and cats and stuff and babies, they can sense when there's something not right with someone? I get like that. And when I feel like somebody's just not right, it's like I can feel the inside of me just kind of shrink up, shrink back. I will physically feel like pins and needles go throughout my body, the back of my neck. And you know what another weird sensation I get when I find that I'm around somebody that's not quite right spiritually? My tongue kind of goes numb. So it's been a joke since I was a kid, and my dad will still say it sometimes, like, did your tongue go numb? And it's like, I don't know, it's just part of the sensations I feel in my body, but it happens. I can sense when somebody's just not right. And but yeah, this whole entire life that we live on earth is one big spiritual battle. Like, everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. It's either a good spiritual or an evil spiritual, and they're constantly clashing. So, you know, when somebody approaches you, or you're in a conversation with somebody and they start talking about the Lord and Jesus and God, you know, try not to be annoyed. Try not to be like, I don't want to talk about that, you know, because I've had people do that to me. And it's like, why? So you want to hang out with the dark? You want to hang out with the evil? Because you can't have it both ways. It's like you either hang out with Satan and his gang, or you kind of stay away from that and kind of keep yourself in the light, and you stay away from the evil. You read the Bible, because the Bible is like our instruction manual. The New Testament, especially in Matthew, like Jesus tells us, he explains to us, like in parables even, because we are like little children. He tells us in parables how to live life and how to understand what's going on in this life. I remember my grandpa for Christmas gave my brother and I this book called Aesop's Fables. Unfortunately, don't get me started on this, but it was in a storage unit that was forgotten about, not by my fault. And I lost a lot of keepsakes, family heirlooms, all sorts of stuff. I lost like 80% of my life. My life's like belongings and things that I could hand down to my kids. Gone. Completely gone. And I still can't think about it because it makes me really sad. But Aesop's Fable was in there along with everything else. But the thing about the Aesop Fables is like, those are life lessons too. They are like, I remember my grandpa telling us the story about the greedy dog. There was a dog walking along and he found a steak. He was walking down the sidewalk and he walked past a butcher shop and he saw a big juicy steak hanging from the rope, and he snatched it and ran. And he was all excited because he was about to go devour his steak. But then he came across a little pond that he had to cross to get to wherever he was going. But when he looked down to go across the pond, he saw his reflection, but he thought it was another dog. And not only did he think it was another dog, but he thought it was another dog with another steak in its mouth. So he wanted that steak too. So what did he do? He opened his mouth to grab the reflectioned steak. So not only did he lose his real steak, the reflection wasn't even real. So he walked away with nothing. And it's a life lesson to never be greedy, because you'll lose everything in the process. But it's like, yeah, like life lessons. I mean, don't ever feel like if somebody's talking about the Lord with you, that they're lecturing you, or they're talking to you as though there's something like specifically with you wrong. Because a lot of people get really defensive. And that's pride. We all have it. But be open to hear about the Lord. Be open to talk about Jesus. Because first of all, we're all sinners. We all have a pride issue at some point in our lives. Some people never grow out of it. But there's no reason to get defensive if somebody talks to you about the Lord. It's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. The Lord is just all things good. There's no darkness in God at all. God is light and love. He also has wrath. But here's the other thing. Like, people say, oh, he's going to send you to hell. God doesn't send anyone to hell. We send ourselves there. If we continue to reject him and we continue to refuse that free gift of salvation from Jesus, and we think we can get to heaven just by like being a good person, or thinking that some other lowercase g God is going to save us and take us to heaven, or whatever other beliefs there are out there, we're wrong. Jesus is the only way because of the cross. Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God. God himself sacrificed his only son, Jesus, because Jesus was sinless. It took sinless blood to cover all of our sins, because we on our own cannot get to heaven because we're sinners. Heaven is holy. And so the Lord loved us so much, even though we're little pistols down here, he sacrificed his only son. Jesus had to go through all of that but he wanted to. He wanted to. He didn't complain. I mean, I do know in the Bible, like right before he was arrested, he was really, and it makes me feel sad for him, but he was really terrified. He even asked the Lord, like, take this cup from me if there's any other way. But then he also said, God, let your will be done. Let your will be done. And so Jesus, he endured that horrible beating. He endured that horrible crucifixion, and he died on the cross. And the crucifixion and the blood that was shed, that blood, that covered our sins and paid our debt. So that's why Jesus is the only bridge, the only connection, the only cross to God. No other person or object or anything can connect us to heaven other than Jesus. So yeah, I mean, if somebody talks to you about the Lord, don't shrink back and get defensive or feel like you're about to get a holy lecture. It's not like that. The world made it like that, and that's kind of what the mindset is in a lot of people, but it's not like that at all. It's like that because of the world we live in, the evil, broken world we live in, but let's change that. If each and every one of us can start to change that, then it'll just be like a ripple effect, and everybody will want to talk about Jesus. Wouldn't that be awesome? So anyway, enough of this rambling on. I'll let you go. I just wanted to have a little chat. I've been up, and I think I'm probably going to try to go back to sleep for a little while before I start the actual day, because then I'll just be completely wired and thrown off and dysregulated. It doesn't take much to dysregulate the autism in me. I get very irritable. My senses are all heightened. They're always heightened, but like, I get very easily overwhelmed, and meltdowns are like one hair away. So that's why I need to get a lot of sleep. And when I don't get a lot of sleep, like this phase I'm going through right now, my body feels like it's just like going crazy. So with that being said, I'm going to let you go and get some rest. But thank you for listening to me. Comment below your thoughts, whatever you have to say. Let's, like I said, start a little community, and I'm going to do my best to read everyone's comments and reply and be engaged in everybody, and just do my best to respond. If I don't always respond right away, it's probably because I'm either resting or at a doctor's appointment or being with family or something, but I will always make a point. I mean, I started this channel, so clearly I'm going to take care of it. So yeah, just know that I will do my best to respond to everybody, whoever wants to join in on the conversation and create this little community with me. Because right now I have one beautiful subscriber. Don't know who she is, but thank you. Thank you for wanting to be my friend and helping me create a little safe haven for everybody to come to and discuss all things life things, just life, living life, and all the things that come with it. So, okay, I'm going to go now. Love you.